a bit of an interesting matchup. Timothy Pskowski with Callblade playing against Korey with Jund.
Yeah, and I think the story of this tournament has probably been the Callblade deck, right? I mean, its demise was greatly exaggerated, and people say that about a lot of different decks, but this one in particular, it's back and with a vengeance.
I mean, Jund was something that was supposed to be dead a year ago too, so I don't know what's going on over here.
You know, a lot of people on Twitter and Facebook were like, "Oh, it's not a Jund deck. Like, why are you guys calling it Jund?" But really, like, not only did the deck creator himself call it Jund, it's also just a Jund deck. Like, if you've played with Jund at all, just a bunch of 2-for-1s.
Yeah, you know, some spot removal, and then you've got like Grave Titan and Grim Lavamancer as an engine, Wormcoil engine, just all these like really powerful 2-for-1s on your high end as finishers, and then Garruk Primal Hunter.
Yeah, and new Garruk seems just great in this kind of deck. I mean, we watched him hit play yesterday, and it's like +3 make a beast, +3 make a beast, draw 4 cards off a Thrun, find exactly what I need.
Sometimes just make 24 power worms or whatever you want to do.
Only 24?
Fine, just enough. It's enough.
Just enough power worms. Enough to kill an EDH opponent.
Yeah.
And I think we'll call that one good. So yeah, that's the Jund deck. The Callblade deck, why don't you inform people how the deck has changed? Because obviously, no more Jace the Mind Sculptor, no more Stoneforge Mystic. What's keeping these kind of decks afloat?
Well, first of all, without Stoneforge Mystic, all that means is you just have to play more Sword of Feast and Famine to actually hit them with. So Batterskull got a lot worse without Stoneforge Mystic, obviously. It's no longer a 2-mana Baneslayer Angel, but Feast and Famine's still fine. It's still, when you hit them with it, it's still free. They still discard a card, and you still have all the benefits. And losing Jace it hurt the deck, obviously, but it let it shift. It let a lot of the white creatures that were previously being held back by the bounce ability just, come forward. Hero Blade holds in the deck now, Blade Splicer, and both of those guys really didn't interact so well with Jace. But now that Jace isn't around to punish you for playing those, they're pretty good at killing your opponent. Hero in one hit's probably going to put your opponent to dead on board, and Blade Splicer hits pretty hard and gives you 2 bodies for a sword.
Yeah, and really I feel like this is kind of the iteration of Callblade that Callblade really should have been all along. The Mystic, Jace thing, that really made it insane, but this is more like, what we could have expected to see in a more fair iteration of it to start with, right? You have Hero Blade Hold, you got like some small guys going up the ground, you can go aggressive. Some of the ones we saw had Gravitational Shift to, help out the flying army while making, moting your opponent in some cases. Like Vampire just has no good way to beat it except for Highborn.
Yeah, they, maybe have, let's see, the list that we have right here, or on the other side of the bracket, it only has 4 bolts, 3 arc trails for burn. That's not really enough to get through, especially if the Callblade player stabilizes above 10 life. And just looking at this Callblade deck, it's just a lot of you have the Mana Leaks and you have the Spell Pierces. You just have this sort of aggro control feel. Gideon Jur's back. That guy kind of went away because of Batterskull, but now you have all these red decks and all these other random beatdown decks that still cannot beat a Gideon.
Yeah, and Tim here even has an Elspeth Tyrell, which is a card that Brian Kibler earlier this year said was really good for him. When he was playing the Ka-Go deck, before people were even blading, he had Elspeth Tyrell, and he said that card was great in the Ka-Go deck. So it's interesting that we see a reappearance of it here in Tim's deck. Yeah,
Elspeth is just one of those cards where if you get into any sort of creature war, it's just going to dominate the game. If you played with it in Limited, you know that it was easily the best mythic in the set. It was almost impossible to beat in Elspeth. I played a game where, I had Skin Render and I had Oxida Scrap Melter. And my opponent mulled to 5 and just played Elspeth and I died. Make 3 guys, untap, play a guy, +2, go. Make 3 guys and you're just like, oh, well, there goes everything I've ever tried to do this game. And earlier block instructed you to have these blue-eye control decks where people would be like, oh, I want to beat down with all these guys, and they just be like, okay, I'm going to play Elspeth and make 3 guys, and you're never going to kill me.
Yeah, Elspeth's certainly a very powerful card, and once again, I think it's cool we see it here. We saw like some decks using Venser, which is an interesting card in this deck, and some decks using, Jace Balerion, a couple different things, but Elspeth Tyrell, that's a card to watch. Could potentially turn out to be a breakout card in this deck. I remember that when Brian Kibler was playing, he only had 1 in the sideboard, and it slowly crept into 1 in the main deck, 2 in the main deck, I think even 3 in the main deck at one point.
There definitely was one list that had 3, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely really important. And the sweeper effect also adds like this kind of safety button to the deck, opponent's playing some ridiculous, artifact-based combo that you weren't prepared for. Elspeth, plus and just block with some Squadron Hawks, kill everything.
Yeah. I mean, especially, and plus and gaining life is pretty relevant too. I mean, getting above the range of red decks, vampires decks, you just gain a couple life off your back of your Squadron Hawks. That could be a big deal. And of course, this is one of the mini decks that's taken advantage of the reprinting of Oblivion Ring this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
To be able to deal with Planeswalkers, other equipments, the whole gamut of cards you want to be able to take care of. Oblivion Ring is an awesome reprint, and it's definitely making waves here at Cincinnati. We're about to go to our match, so here we are. The semifinals of the Star City Games Open Series standard portion here in Cincinnati, Ohio. On your right, Korey is playing the Jund deck we were talking about, and it is most certainly a Jund deck. Not only did he call it Jund, but it's just, like you said, a bunch of 2-for-1s and some removal spells, Planeswalker. Feels like Garrick is kind of in the Sarkhan spot where Sarkhan was last year. You've got Grave Titan and Lotus Cobra.
Solemn Simulacrum was the one we missed earlier. That's your Blood Red Elf.
Yeah. Solemn is the saddest Blood Red Elf ever. And it's like Blood Red Elf into Border Post. Yeah. And on the other hand, on your left, we have Tim, who is playing Blue-White Cobblade. Just Hero Bladehold, Blade Splicer, Squadron Hawk, Sun Titan, Gideon, Elspeth, Sword, Feast and Famine, Dismember, Oblivion Ring, Preordain, Mana Leak, and Spell Pierce. Who do you think has the edge in this matchup, Ari?
I think that the Jund deck might be a little bit ahead just based on this removal speed. Just looks like it's really good against all the threats that the Cobblade deck has. All these Dismembers and Go for the Throats line up reasonably well against Hero Bladehold. It might be a little bit short. It's possible that the Cobblade deck just gets to stick one of these things, but the discard's also going to be really strong here.
Oh yeah, the discard, the 4 Inquisition, 1 Duress, 1 Despise, I think are going to be key in this matchup.
The Cobblade deck also is a little weak to Lotus Cobra still. It only has Dismember. It's just about the same as it used to be.
You can O-ring him on the play, but even
then, or Mana Leak. It's just very much not built to beat these green creatures right now. It's definitely a thing that can change, and in the past has changed.
Right. You're going to oust, you can even play Journey to Nowhere, you have other options.
Yeah.
But we'll see if Lotus Cobra dominates the game. Seachrome Coast for Tim. Earlier this year when Brian Kibler was playing Kago, he said that Lotus Cobra on turn 2 was the thing he was most scared about. Yeah. And after playing a lot of Cobblade, I still feel like that's the case.
Yeah, if they untapped with that guy, it got real easy to get too far behind.
And a turn 2 Hawk for Tim. Korey just has a tap land. Note from Jarvis Yu, who worked with Tim on this deck. He said that we were talking about the Elspeth moments ago, and he said he told Tim to change Gideon to an Elspeth because not only are there times where Elspeth is better, but drawing one of each is better if you're trying to run the Planeswalker gamut.
If Gideon lives, it tends to be one of those Planeswalkers that where if it's living a long time, it's not actually doing anything. It'll just sit there and +2, maybe it attacks them for 6, but sometimes you're just sitting there well, I don't really want to run this guy into removal. I just want a Gideon on the board. +2, and he's got 16 counters. You're like, oh well, I just have a Gideon. It's doing nothing. It's not like Jace. We're oh well, I drew an extra Jace off my Jace. I still have 8 cards in my hand.
Yeah, and Gideon and Elspeth kind of work together pretty nicely too. So all right, and there's the Inquisition turn 2 from Korey. So a little late to grab that Squadron Hawk, but let's see. So Tim shows off a hand of 2 lands, 2 Mana Leaks, 2 Squadron Hawks, and Blade Splicer.
It's worth noting that those lands are, I believe, a Tectonic Edge and a Celestial Combat, so they're actually going to be doing some work here.
Yeah, definitely. Very important to keep that in mind. Now, this game would be totally different if Korey was on the play here, because Korey could have Inquisitioned away that Squadron Hawk, and that changes things dramatically. Yeah. As is, Tim already has the Squadron Hawk engine going, so Korey's going to have to go for a different route of attack. Obviously, we don't know exactly what's in Korey's hand, but what do you think you would take here? Do you think you take 1 or 2 Mana Leaks, and you take that Blade Splicer?
It's definitely one of those two. It depends on whether you're looking to resolve a Grave Titan or whether you're looking to just sort of get the Hawks out of the way and then proceed with a longer game. And it looks like Korey is just using this Grim Lavamancer to try and gain parity here.
Yeah, and the Lavamancer does a pretty good job of controlling those Hawks. Makes equipments in Tim's deck not quite as exciting, and it's also just going to be able to make sure that those Hawks don't do too much. He'll take some damage, but especially with all the fetch lands in Korey's deck and the number of other removal spells he has, he should be able to negate those Hawks via the use of Grim Lavamancer pretty easily.
Yeah, he's got to keep his graveyard stocked, but those Mana Leaks are definitely going to actually help with that. So.
Yeah. Mana Leak my spell? Well, okay.
Yeah,
kill your Squadron
on it.
So I'm trying to get a glimpse of what's in Korey's hand. He's holding it a little close to the chest, so to speak. So can't really get a lot of information there. But he definitely has a Lavamancer in play, Inquisition in his graveyard. So if he finds a way to get one more card into his graveyard, he can start activating that Lavamancer.
Looks like he has another Lava Claw Reaches that he's thinking about playing for this turn.
Korey is running the full 8 man lands in his deck, so he's got a lot of enters the battlefield tapped lands. Of course, the trade-off is he has a lot of long game power.
Yeah.
That's what made the Jund deck last year so explosive was all the man lands. Or not explosive, but the long game. It's like card advantage through your lands.
Yeah, like they somehow keep up with all your huge for ones, and you just hit them with the Raging Arena. Like, oh, your lands actually do that.
We've seen a similar thing happen with Celestial Colonnade. The man lands are just so incredibly powerful that they not only fix your mana, but they're just insane lands on their own that are almost just like drawing extra cards when you put one in play tapped. A second Lavamancer down for Korey Faye.
As well as a Lava Claw Reaches.
Lava Claw Reaches.
I was actually talking about that with someone about how the mana lands make it almost impossible to play these enemy color control decks because, you just don't have that threat for free.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like in Rug, Raging Ravine was super, super important, and there's only one for the 3-color combination. And down come 2 more Hawks. Oh man, how do you like an attack with the Grim Lavamancer last turn from Korey Faye? Do you think that's too risky?
All depends on what's in his hand. It might actually be reasonable.
Because if they trade off Hawks, then he has his Lavamancer active, and I'm not even convinced that Tim would trade in that situation necessarily.
Yeah, I'm not even convinced that these Lavamasters are going to get necessarily fully active. Both of them, at least. Like, the second one might as well just be a 1/1 for 1, Good old Eager Cadet.
And then,
or Mon's Goblin Ranger, I guess.
And then, you could trade off with the one with the Hawks, which is really what that Grim Lavamancer was looking to do.
Yeah.
But
Korey's probably going to get a green mana here, start casting some other spells.
Yep, and there's the green. We'll see what he's holding on to. Always a little awkward when you have to fetch for your green card and you want to play your Lotus Cobra. And that's Solemn Simulacrum. So we're going to see him probably find another green mana here.
Yep.
And then Korey will have access to 6 mana. So
red.
Okay. Once again, it's like this deck's version of Bloodbraid Elf. Go get a land, dies, draw a card.
Yeah. Does some work.
Not quite Bloodbraid Elf.
No, but you can't 3 for someone. It's kind of like you cascade into Blightning every time. It's just not a very good Blightning.
It's more like cascade into Divination or delayed Divination or something.
Cultivate.
Yeah, cascade and cultivate.
Yeah, it's closer.
Yeah. Tim seems like he's in a pretty good position here. But a lot depends on what's in Korey's hand. If he can play out a big threat next turn, it could be game-changing. Tim, of course, has the double mana leak, but if Korey can just keep deploying threats, those Hawks might not be able to kill Korey in time, especially since Grim Lavamancer can start picking off those Hawks. And that's why I think I kind of like the attack with the Lavamancer last turn, because if Tim opts to trade, which is really tempting, you're trading a Squadron Hawk for Grim Lavamancer, then I think that actually favors Korey.
It's just the fact that he's not going to really get into a point where these Grim Lavamasters are both activating at the same time. He just doesn't have enough cards to go to his graveyard. And there goes the attack with the Grim.
Alright, so he does bring it with the Lavamancer this time. And Tim just takes 1.
Yep.
I think that's good discipline by Tim. A lot of players would just be so eager to trade a Hawk off with that Grim Lavamancer. But
doesn't want to break up his Air Elemental. Attack puts Korey to 12.
And let's see, now we know Tim has double mana leak, right? He hasn't used either of them. So will he just sit on that, or does he have something else he can deploy here?
It was possible maybe he wanted to Tectonic Edge one of the lands, keep him off of 6 for another turn so he can't really cast a real threat into the mana leak. He does have, it looks like double Tectonic Edge, so he could have, in theory, put Korey back to 3.
Yeah, I don't know if he wanted to risk not having mana leak mana up the...
That's fair.
Certainly something we could see happen to end step if Tim wanted to go all in on the Squadron Hawks. I think if you do that, you commit to winning with your 4 Squadron Hawks.
Right.
And then you also fuel Korey's Lavamancers even further.
But he's not going to get to double red. He doesn't have double red for that if he kills both the Lava Claw Reaches. So.
Sure.
At least not yet.
What is Korey thinking about here? Is that another Solemn sitting in his hand?
There was a lava claw reaches in a forest that I saw. Oh, there's a lotus.
All right, there's a cobra. That gets mana leaks. Tim does not want any of that nonsense because the cobra is a good way to circumvent mana leak by getting you extra mana.
Korey thinking about whether he actually wants to pay for that. I think you do.
I think so too. I don't know what's in Korey's hand. I don't know what kind of game plan he's on, but he has 3 more turns from the Squadron Hawk. All right, Tim's just going to double mana leak it, so that got rid of both Tim's mana leaks, which is totally fine.
Lotus Cobra doing a good blending impression. Crashing for 4.
All right, that'll drop Tim to 15. Tim still definitely has the clock advantage here, but if those Lava Mancers start picking off those Hawks, Tim's clock could drop rather quickly. Oh, sort of Feast and Famine.
Yeah.
Now that changed things dramatically.
I was going to say if he had a land, you could drop Korey to 4, but that was significantly better. That hit for 6 there is real devastating.
Yeah, and now that Hawk is out of a single Lava Mancer range.
Yeah.
I want to Gideon on top of it.
Oh, boy.
Things coming together for Tim here. What options does Korey have?
Let's see. He can, he does have 4 cards in graveyard, but that doesn't really do that much against these Hawks.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has to attack Gideon, and then Gideon can crack back.
Yeah.
Korey can block with a manland maybe, but...
You can play another guy. He has 7 lands in play. If his last 2 cards are like land Grave Titan, he might be somewhere in the game. You know, kill both the guy. Use the Grim Lava Mancers, kill some Hawks.
Well, it's still lethal, right? No, Tim is 1 land off, because he's got Colonnade.
Yeah.
But, okay. Tim would have to draw an untapped land to activate Colonnade. And then he could serve in for lethal.
Yeah.
Korey's certainly not in the position he wanted to be in, though.
Definitely not.
In this matchup, you want to come out strong, and those Lava Mancers did not do enough.
Yeah, when I was just first looking at this, I was definitely underestimating how good Squadron Hawk was against this gem deck. You know, all these typical 1-for-1s, you know, or even the 2-for-1s aren't so great when you have a 4-for-1 right there.
Yeah, and like I said, I think this game would have been totally different if Korey was able to Inquisition away that Squadron Hawk.
Definitely.
If Korey was just on the play, we could easily see him have demolished this game because Tim would just have nothing going on.
No.
All he's done this game is really Squadron Hawk.
Right up until this Gideon, just nothing.
Right. All right, so looks like Grim Lava Mancer is getting activated from Korey Faye. Exiles 2 cards in his graveyard. Kills off 1 Hawk. And then Korey plays in lands. Is that
Grave Titan?
Grave Titan, okay.
And Gideon goes down to 5.
Gideon drops down to 5. Now, let's see. So he did have the Grave Titan, which is one way you said he could maybe stay back in the game.
Doesn't look like Tim has. Oh yeah, there's just.
And that's lethal. You just give the sword to Gideon.
Yeah.
And that's 8 right there.
Yep.
Korey drops the first game. Tim playing Copblade, poised to make a finals appearance.
Yeah.
Could this be Copblade return to the finals?
Return? It never left.
So true.
Don't
so true.
Come back. He's been here for months.
Yeah. Oh man. In the meantime, for those who weren't here yesterday, we're giving away not only 6 months of premium now in the top 4, but in the finals we're going to be giving away a Gen Con badge, which is pretty exciting. That's about a $75 value. That'll let you get in the door to Gen Con. So stay tuned for that in the finals. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, we're going to give away 6 months of free premium just for watching this match. And here's how this works. So you'll want to go on Twitter, and we're going to ask a question. Respond to the question with the answer and the hashtag SCG Premium. You can put at SCG Live if you want, but you don't have to. The important thing is we have the at SCG or the hashtag SCG Premium in your answer somewhere, and you can see it on the screen now. And we'll choose one person who answers the question correctly, and they will win 6 months of free premium. Are you excited?
Yeah.
All right. Premium, it's so good. All the best content's on Premium right now. Like,
really is.
Some best videos, best articles, but it's the best players.
Yeah, Jerry T, Mike Jacob, Pat Chapin, Brian Kibler, Brad Nelson, you know.
Player of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the question. Speaking of Jerry Thompson, if you were watching yesterday, you might know, what deck did Jerry Thompson play yesterday? That's the question. Answer it, and you could win 6 months of free premium for StarCityGames.com. I think I'm curious to see how many people know this one. If you were watching yesterday, you'll probably know the answer. If you weren't, maybe it might be a little difficult for you. So answer that question now. for 6 months of free premium and join us again in the finals of the Standard Open to try and win a Gen Con badge, as well as in the finals of the Legacy Open to try and win a Gen Con badge. And that's just such a great prize. Like, not only is it a Gen Con badge, but Nationals is at Gen Con this year.
If you win that badge, you can just go play in the grinders, grind into Nationals, and, you know, I mean, Nationals QC for Worlds, right?
Yeah, and plus, the thing about Nationals is I think that the grinders this year might be even a little softer, or just because there aren't going to be as many people, it's that you do have the front entry fee to go into Gen Con in the first place.
You do need the Gen Con badge to play in the grinders.
So, should be interesting to see how that plays out. Fortunately, I'm already qualified, I don't have to grind, but it's, you know, if I was trying to grind, I think it's totally reasonable you can grind it. And plus, the way they run the grinders now, it's not the big 64-man or, you know, 100 people, like, top 4 single elimination grinders. They just run 32-man grinders, so you go 5-0, you qualify for Nationals.
And they're just 32-man grinders. Don't they just go as they fill,
basically? Yeah, they just go as they fill. It's just like, say, a Grand Prix trial at a Pro Trial at a Grand Prix.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really cool, really great stuff. So this badge is very useful. Of course, all kinds of other great stuff at Gen Con. You have all the board games, you have Dungeons and Dragons, you have all kinds of new card games being premiered, things that aren't even on the market yet. You can try out and buy there for the first time. I remember it was last year, right? At Gen Con, that Ascension, Brian Kibler's game was premiered.
I believe so.
Yeah. Obviously, if Kibler's out there watching right now, he can correct us on that. But I think it was at Gen Con where they're premiered, or at least it was certainly a big showing at Gen Con.
Yeah.
So, and that's really where a lot of the buzz came from. So you definitely are going to want to be there. Stay tuned in the finals to win a Gen Con badge, and the finals of the Legacy Open as well to win a Gen Con badge. In the meantime, we've got this matchup between Jund and Cobblade. We saw Game 1 play out. Cobblade seemed to be pretty decisive with those Squadron Hawks. Now Korey's on the play, and I think one of the biggest keys here is if he can make sure that he can discard a Squadron Hawk.
Yeah, I agree. Let's look at the sideboards a little bit and see what they have. I think that the Cobblade deck has a pretty good spread of everything. It's got Flash Priest, Core Firewalker, Celestial Purge, and Stave Off. Like, all of these are pretty good against what Korey's doing. It's just a matter of what Tim thinks is important in the matchup and which colors he actually wants to focus on answering the cards from.
Stave Off is certainly an interesting sideboard card.
Yeah, it counters all of the removal from this Jund deck pretty efficiently. You know, Dismember costs 1, Stave Off just 1 mana counters it. You know, you don't have to mess around with any kind of tricks. He also might want Mental Misstep for all the discard to keep his Squadron Hawk protected.
Yeah,
it also hits Lightning Bolt and Grim Overmancer.
Yeah, I kind of like the Mental Missteps here. I think hitting the discard is going to be super, super important. Looks like Tim is taking a quick break. I think hitting the discard is really important in this matchup. We saw, like I said, Game 1, that Inquisition on Squadron Hawk, if it had just been the other way around and he could fire off the Inquisition first, the game, I think, would have easily been Korey's.
I agree.
But that's not how it went down.
Korey sideboard. He has Duress, possibly Liliana Vest could be good if you can control the Squadron Hawks.
Thrun seems like a pretty solid one too.
Yeah, this deck doesn't really have a lot of good ways to fight a Thrun.
Yeah,
Thrun also beats Hero Blade.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's one of the big ones for me. Is you put down Thrun, they can swing with their hero once, but you'll block, and that's that.
Kazul seems pretty good in this matchup.
Kazul's certainly an interesting card. Kazul, Tyrant of the Cliffs, not a card that's seen a ton of play unless you're Conley Woods or you know, a couple other name players. Jonathan Sukin had one in his sideboard in Edison.
Yes. Let's see. Obstinate Baloth. Maybe for the Feast and Famine, but I don't think there's.
Yeah, doubtful.
If there were like 3 or 4 Feast and Famines in this deck, I could consider it. But
I'm just not even convinced that discarding Obstinate Baloth the Sword Feast and Famine is even that insane. When I was playing Cobblade, my opponents would just discard Sword Feast and Famine. I just wouldn't care because I just hit them with the Sword Feast.
Well, what were you playing against?
Just like people playing Obstinate Baloth, whatever green decks were popular, Fauna Shaman decks.
Oh, see, those decks I thought it was actually kind of, or at least in Elves was where I found it really relevant. But it might be less relevant on the less aggressive decks like Jund, where you may as well just play it on your curve.
I mean, it might also be totally different too without Jace the Mind Sculptor or Stoneforge Mystic around.
Right.
So.
Let's see, he's got a couple more removal he might want. I don't think he wants Memoricide or Surgical Extraction. I don't think Pyroclasm's very good either.
No, I don't think none of those really excite me. I mean, some players might get a little greedy and go for the kill 1 Hawk, Surgical Extraction, all your Hawks planned, but that's just so unlikely to happen.
You're still down cards on that exchange, and Pyroclasm's like a similar concept. You might Pyroclasm all their Hawks away, but you draw it and they're like, oh, I'm beating you down with the hero. Okay, I guess I'll kill all your soldiers and then get hit again and die.
Yeah. Right. So, do we think he's going to take out his Lightning Bolts?
They aren't very good in this matchup. I can definitely see that.
So maybe he takes out his Lightning Bolts. Probably takes out his Memoricide, I'd imagine.
Yes, I would definitely imagine
that. So that's 3 cards in the main deck that get cut. Maybe he takes out some of his situational creatures maybe he doesn't want.
Phyrexian Revoker doesn't seem very good in this matchup at all.
Revoker you can name as Planeswalkers, you can name Gideon Jura, you can name Sword of Feast and Famine.
Yeah, it just... I don't know if that's the fight you're going to have to be fighting. I think you might have to fight more over Squadron Hawks and, like... I guess this list doesn't really have a great answer to Gideon Jura, so it might be necessary, but other than that, I don't really see it. Feast, I guess it doesn't have any... I keep thinking of John with Maelstrom Pulse. Okay, maybe you do want this Phyrexian Revoker. Maybe that's your Maelstrom Pulse.
He definitely wants to bring in the Duress, I think.
Right.
The Thruns, probably Liliana.
I don't know about the Duress. It's 6 discards is probably a fair number. And Duress doesn't really hit the Squadron Hawks he's really needing.
Does not hit the Squadron Hawks, which is certainly a big deal. 2 Thrun coming in, 1 Liliana Vest I think will come in. That card can control the game. That's 3. You're trying to say maybe the Kazul, maybe not.
That's a pretty good card against Squadron Hawks, and it fights Hero. And I don't know the actual text on Kazul. Actually, that might not interact exactly the way I thought it did with Hero Blade Hold.
Yeah, I don't think it does. I think Kazul is as an Acosta declare attackers, and Hero sidesteps that entirely.
Yeah.
So, Kazul is interesting against cards like Squadron Hawk, but maybe it's better than Womb Coalition, but something to look at. And then I don't think... Oh, do you think he wants either to go for Threat or Dismember?
Depends on how much he thinks that Gideon's going to animate and how much Sun Titan's going to matter.
And how much Hero Bladehold is going to matter, too.
Yeah. Well, Dismember... I was thinking more putting in Go for the Throat specifically so he can kill the big guys that he doesn't necessarily have all of the answers to. Right. Because he only has Go for the... he only has 1 Go for the Throat main to kill these 6/6s, so...
Huh. Yeah, that's something he could consider. We'll see what he chooses to do here. I think a couple core cards are coming in. I think Lightning Bolt and the Moor side are probably coming out. But anything besides that, it's probably his preference to Korey.
Yeah.
It just depends what he likes and what he doesn't.
Looks like they're about to get started here. Oh, still in the middle of shuffling.
Nope, still just pile of shuffling. How do we feel about Garruk Primal Hunter in this matchup? Really good on turn 3 off a Lotus Cobra.
Yeah. I think it's just a threat that you can't really cut. And it's really hard for it to... they aren't really going to kill it with Squadron Hawks. It's just adding counters and making 3/3s. +1, 3, attack with 2 Hawks. Okay, well, it's down to 2. Okay, +1, make a 3/3, attack you with a 3/3. This is not a fight that these Squadron Hawks are necessarily winning in the same way they can, beat other Planeswalkers while they're +1.
Right.
To stay alive.
Yeah, and once again, I feel like the key to this matchup is really invalidating those Squadron Hawks.
Yeah.
And so if you manage to do that, I think Garruk could just run away with the game.
Right.
Because they have to really have Hero Bladehold or something to be able to defeat it.
Even if they have Hero, it's just too easy to have another guy just kill the Hero on the attack and just move along.
Right. And of course, the ultimate is very good. There are 2 Day of Judgments in the sideboard of Tim's deck. So we'll see Day and then probably come in if he wants to be able to deal with cards like that, but...
More so just for Grave Titan anyways.
Yeah.
Day of Judgment might not even be Karuk. You can just keep adding counters, making more beasts, and just, Day. Okay, I'll make a beast. Make another beast. Draw some cards.
Yeah, out of Tim's deck, I think those Flash Freezes are good coming in. Mental Misstep, Day of Judgment, Celestial Purge. Tim certainly has a lot of ammo in his sideboard. I
don't actually know if Flash Freeze comes in. I'm pretty sure Celestial Purge does, but Flash Freeze, it doesn't... Tim's on the draw this game, so it's not really going to hit a Lotus Cobra. Not really going to hit a Grim Lavamancer, and that only hits Lightning Bolt in the rest of the deck.
And Garruk.
True, and Garruk, but
I guess
that's like 1 card.
I guess that's true. There just aren't a lot of red and green cards to target.
Inquisition for Korey Faye reveals... Looks like a Squadron Hawk.
Yeah, that Squadron Hawk is going away. So Inquisition reveals 3 lands, Oblivion Ring, Preordain, Squadron Hawk, a Blade Splicer, and Korey knows that. We haven't seen him take the card yet, but I can't imagine he would take anything but Squadron Hawk here.
Tim's lands all. Both Glacial Fortresses, no basics to go with those. So
I guess
curve might be a little awkward.
If he has 2 Inquisitions, he could take the Preordain and then go for Hawk next turn, but.
The Preordain's still going to be in his hand. He doesn't have a blue source that comes in play on tap. So you may as well just wait on taking that, get the Hawk out of there, and then Inquisition him again in case he draws another Hawk you want to take, or make the decision then.
Yeah, I agree with that line of logic. I think with this card you should often just... you think about what you're going to do a couple turns ahead, but if you just take the card you want to take the most of your 2 discard spells, you just have more options to look at the next turn.
Yeah, and even if he did draw the land of Preordain, Maybe he doesn't hide the card on top. Maybe he only has one card he wants. You know, then you get the Inquisition and see that card. Yep. He does take
the Squadron Hawk goes away. All right, and that is what Korey Faye was looking to do. So Tim will play tap Glacial Fortress and pass the turn back to Korey Faye. Let's see if Korey has a Lotus Cobra for the double whammy in this game.
Yeah, that would close this out very fast.
Yeah, I mean, if Korey has any kind of action after that, Tim would have a rough time coming back.
Looks like Korey's going to play a Copperline Gorge this turn. It looks like he's thinking about.
Oh, maybe tap land. Oh, just Lava Cloud reaches past.
Okay.
So it doesn't look like Lotus Cobra is in Korey's hand. Still a good start for Korey, though.
Tim preordains. Looks like he drew a Day of Judgment.
That's certainly a good one for him to hide from Korey Faye's knowledge.
Yes.
Because if Korey doesn't think he's got a Day of Judgment, he might extend a little bit, and then Tim would bring down the hammer.
There's really not that much to extend, though. You know, you got Lotus Cobra, which he has shown that he doesn't have. He got Grim Lavamancer, which he might have, and then, you know, Phyrexian Revoker. Grave Titan, sure, but like Solemn and Wormcoil aren't the worst things to have Day of Judgment in.
Yeah, please Day of Judgment away my Solemn Simulacrums.
It's not the threats of all these manlands that just don't die to Day of Judgment. That's been one of the things that this format has really shown, is that the Day of Judgment's lost a lot in the recent formats. Just there's a lot of things like Inkmoth Nexus, Glinthawk Idol, and the manlands that just don't die to it.
Right. I mean, normally Wrath effects are great, but you know, they've really faded in and out in this format and how good they are. And with all the manlands, it makes it tough to make that strong, because when you tap out to Wrath and your opponent's just like, okay, untap, smack you for 4 anyway. All right, there's Grim Lavamancer for Korey Faye.
Taps the Gorge.
Taps the Gorge, so he doesn't have a green spell to play. Wants to leave up 2 black. Alright, Korey just passes the turn, so he's just sitting on a Lavamancer.
I think he has a Revoker in hand that he's just debating on what to use it on.
Yeah. I mean,
Looked like he was going to cast something, maybe. Blade Splicer comes down with its buddy.
So there's Splicer and a Golem. Now let's see what Korey Faye does this turn. It's going to hit the 4 mana threshold. Will we see a Solemn come down?
Possibly.
Ramp him nicely into a Grave Titan, Wormcoil Engine.
Garrick.
Yeah, Garrick. Man, every time I see Garrick Primal Hunter played, whew, that card is exciting. That Planeswalker is just so inherently powerful.
Yeah. It's just mostly the +1 to actually, you know, keeping itself alive while making a blocker, and just it pushes itself so far ahead so fast.
Right. I mean, imagine if Elspeth was +1, put 3 1/1s into play.
Yeah.
That'd just be insane.
Yeah. You know, you saw a bit of that with the old Elspeth, actually. You know,
yeah.
The +1 make a guy just, well, never killing this guy. You know, you attack Elspeth with all your guys, they block one of them, they untap, and all of a sudden, like, Elspeth's still at 2 counters, and they can play every spell in their hand now.
Huh. Yeah, exactly. It's pretty insane. Alright, so Korey cracks a Verdant Catacombs and goes to find a forest, and that will turn on his Grim Lavamancer, so he can now has a 1 shot out of his Lavamancer if he wants to take down, say, that Blade Splicer.
Yeah, that could be relevant coming up next turn, because Garrick 3/3s, you know, versus the first strikers, especially if Solemn puts him to 6.
Yeah, although since he just had Tim shuffle his deck, I doubt he's casting Solemn.
Maybe it's just common courtesy. I don't know.
Normally feel like if you're gonna do multiple shuffles in a row and your opponent has no opportunity for responses, you know, you shouldn't just shuffle.
No, I agree.
Play another Rampant Growth, shuffle.
There is unlimited time technically, but some people in this top 4 might want to play Legacy.
Huh. Yeah, although in the past, if it's taken too long, they just get a bye in the first round. But
yeah.
Alright, so there's a Phyrexian Revoker for Korey Faye. And what do you think you name here if you're Korey? Do you name Gideon Jura?
I can't really see his hand. If he has a removal spell that's its speed, I might just name Gideon Jura immediately. Don't really want to die to that card, and it seems a lot harder for him to deal with that than just beat a guy with a sword on it in general, especially with Grim in play. So long as he can keep this 3/3 off the table.
Yeah. He names Gideon with the Phyrexian Revoker. Makes sense. I think that's the right card to name there.
Yeah.
So now...
Not Elspeth Tyrell?
Once again, the Elspeth Tyrell that Jarvis recommended, if he drops that down, that Phyrexian Invoker is going to look kind of silly.
Yeah.
Gain a little bit of life.
Maybe kill everything but that Golem token.
Ah, yes. All non-token permanents. Oh, my.
Looks like Tim preordained into preordain. Digging for something. Shipped.
Alright,
a lot of cards to the bottom.
Finds another Day of Judgment, looks like. So that's both of Tim's Day of Judgment sitting there in his hand.
Plays an Inkmoth next and passes the turn. Looks like Korey's thinking about whether he wants to Grim Lavamancer down that Blade Splicer.
And he does. Seems like a reasonable use, especially if Korey has more ways to stock his graveyard. If Korey has light on ways to stock his graveyard, I don't think he would make that play. So that might tell Tim that Korey's got some spells up his sleeves, more fetch lands.
Well, I mean, it also doesn't really signal it. If he has a Garruk in hand, he just wants to make 3/3s that trade with that 3/3 and couldn't really shoot down the Blade Splicer later.
Sure. I mean, he could just shoot it down the next turn.
Yeah, but the Golem still gets an attack in it as a first striker, and Korey only has a 5 mana this turn, so if you tap out for Garruk, you're kind of left chump left.
Right. Of course, the question is would he want to? And now he can. He played Marsh Flat, so he doesn't have access to triple green.
I think he has another Lava Cloud Reaches in his hand.
So the Marsh Flats will put some more fuel in the fire for that Grim Lavamancer. The question at this point is really what's in Korey's hand. I mean, does he have more gas? Is he just holding a bunch of lands? Because he needs to get something going, I think. Otherwise, Tim could threaten to take control of this game. Gideon is under control for now.
I think that, I mean, if Tim gets another untap step, he's actually in control of this game. Just, he really needed the Garruk this turn to get there.
Yeah, Korey really needs at least some kind of threat, and if his threat is like a Grave Titan, it just gets Day of Judgment away, and then he has another one-turn window.
Right. He needs the Wormcrawl Engine or that Garruk.
Yeah. Let's see. All right, so Korey taps 3, activates Lava Claw Reaches, serves.
It's an indication that he's probably land flooded.
Yeah, I would agree with that statement. So he trades the Golem token off with the Lava Claw Reaches. Do we think we see Tim just burn a Day of Judgment here?
I think Tim has a hero Blade Hold he's just going to slam down right now.
Yeah, and there's the hero. Now does Korey have an answer to the hero?
He has a lot of answers in his deck, but I don't know if he's been playing this game indicating that he necessarily has a lot of them. He might have one.
Yeah, he might have.
If he had access, he would have definitely killed that Golem token too, but and served him for damage. But it looks like this might get a little awkward.
Yeah, if Korey can't kill that hero, I mean, if Jund is all about 2-for-1s, that hero is just a 2-for-1 every time it attacks, so he'll quickly get out of control.
He can trade the Revoker on the block for it, but that's not really where you want to be going.
No, especially because then that turns on all of Timothy's Gideons.
Yes.
And we definitely can't afford to get Gideon active. If that Revoker dies and Timothy lands a Gideon, the game is practically over.
Yes.
I don't know how Tim would be, or how Korey would be able to come back from that one.
So pass the turn.
Not what Korey Faye really wanted to do, I think.
And here, Bladehold is probably going to get a chance to attack this turn.
Yeah, unless Korey waited for some reason, which I don't think he did.
He probably went into the world of Mana Leaks and Spell Pierces.
Yep.
Make some soldiers.
All right. And they battle cry, so the soldiers come in for 2 each. All right, and Korey's making the trade you were talking about, the Revoker for Bladehold trade. Now we're going to see if Tim has the Gideon. Alright, so down goes Revoker. What does Tim have in his grip? Now we're about to find out.
That's a Gideon.
5 mana.
Elspeth
Tyrell.
Oh,
so
not a Gideon.
Didn't matter either way, yeah.
Gonna make some guys.
Pretty nice synergy with Hero Bladehold.
Yeah, but that guy's dead.
Yeah.
Grim Lavamancer takes him down, last 2 damage. It definitely does have some good synergy though.
Yeah.
You know, gain more life. You know, have all these tokens if you have to rat the board for some ridiculous reason.
Right. And that's way better for Korey Faye than a Gideon would have been.
Yeah.
Elspeth is much more beatable.
A Grave Titan can definitely take this game back under
Grave Titan,
marginal control at least.
I mean, even a Garrick might be reasonable. It's either there are 5 tokens, he makes a 3/3 beast.
Yeah, it just shoots down Elspeth with Grim, and he has to throw all of his guys at the Garrick, and it's just a battle of 1/1s versus a 3/3 then. So that's a fine exchange.
But I do see Lava Claw reaches at the front of Korey's hand. Korey played an untapped land this turn, signaling he might be about to make a play. Maybe Garrick leaving up Grim Lavamancer mana. We're going to see what Korey does.
Maybe just leave Raging Ravine back and Grim Lavamancer down the Elspeth. It's not the best play, but it's what he has to kill the Elspeth, and probably have to kill that guy right now before it gets out of, before it gets to make more guys.
Yeah, Elspeth's sitting on 2 counters, so I think you have to Grim that guy down.
Yeah. If Korey drops to 13.
Alright, Korey drops to 13 here. Alright. Fetches out a forest. Might be Garrick time. I like it. So Garrick enters with 3 counters, correct?
Enters with 3, +1s to 4.
+1s to 4. So you +1, he goes to 4. Now, I think the decision Korey has to make, if he has Garrick, is he willing to trade off his Garrick with all those tokens?
I think it's not the tokens, actually. It's you trade off your Garrick for the Elspeth.
Right, yeah. I mean, you kill the Elspeth, but your Garrick dies, or... Alright, so... Tim has more tokens. Does Korey not have anything else to do, though? It might be all weaving fantasy here.
Oh, he doesn't even have the right mana to keep that Raging Ravine up on the block.
Oh, man.
Debating over what types of tokens to use.
Tim is just like, nah, I like my sleeves, thanks.
Yeah.
Alright, what is Korey? Oh, Korey just passes the turn. No action. That's the thing about Jund. No way to filter its cards, so you're pretty much stuck with whatever you draw. Yeah. You can play Solemn Simulacrum, but...
You can Garrick, -3, but...
Yeah. And in crashes 5 1/1 soldier tokens. That threatens to drop Korey to only 8 life.
It's pretty close to dead. That's actually lethal damage on board, almost with that calling on.
Jarvis Yu feels like he shouldn't have made those soldiers, but I'm sure he's glad to see Elspeth doing good work for Tim.
If he doesn't make the soldiers to block, I think the issue is that the Raging Ravine just comes in and kills Elspeth.
So now it looks like Korey's hand is double Lava Claw reaches and 2 spells. I can't quite make out what the spells are, though. I feel like if they were much action, they would be in play by now. Maybe one of them is Grave Titan?
Yeah, he's facing down Blade Splicer, Golem token of 5 1/1s. That's
a ton of power.
And a manland, so...
Yeah, I mean that manland practically puts Korey at a virtual 4 life.
Yeah. That's a Grim Lavamancer looking to chump block, I think, and this does not look very good.
No, I think this might be it for Korey. If Tim activates that Lava Claw, or activates that, wrong manland, activates the Celestial Colonnade, it might be a lethal. Let's see. 1, 2, 3... Or it at least puts Korey near dead. I guess not. He's not going to choose to not activate it. That tells me that Tim might have counter magic in his hands.
Yeah, it doesn't just want to risk it dying for no reason.
Alright, so Tim serves in with an army of tokens.
Something has to be blocked here or killed.
Alright. Dismembers the Golem token. That'll drop Korey Fey down to
0 damage taken because it costs 3 mana. And the attack puts them to 3.
You can actually cast Dismember.
Yeah, I know. It's a surprise. You're playing it in a deck with black mana. Who would knew that you would do that?
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. Phyrexians are all about just taking 4 damage every time. Korey Fey is no true Phyrexian. All right, so Korey's got 2 Lavamancers. He just has to double block, block on the tokens. Takes 3. Drops to 5.
Yeah. I actually don't think that I've ever inconstructed cast Dismember for anything other than 1 mana 4 life. Maybe once for 2 mana 2 life, but it was off of Mox Opal, so it doesn't count.
Yeah. I've definitely never cast it for the full mana cost 0 life. Alright, is this lights out for Korey Fey? He's thinking about it. All right, Tech Edge down the Raging Ravine. Goodbye, Raging Ravine. Tim untaps. He's probably going to activate Colonnade here. Should be enough to do it.
He might just attack with everybody and attack as the other man land. No.
Or
he has the land, so he can do all of this.
Or Tectonic Edge after he activates the man land. And just 2 more Lava Coverages in hand. That's the match. Tim takes his Cobblade deck into the finals. Korey Fay falls with his Jund deck. Really cool deck by Korey Fay, though. Really nice to see. I'm excited to see how this Jund deck gets improved because, I mean, I'm sure, the list here is very good, but now, Korey's showed it off to the world. We kind of have a core to go off of. What's going to happen now with it?
Yeah, once, the other 1,000 people who want to look at this Jund deck get a chance, there's a lot of things that could maybe have been missed by one person that will be seen by the next 100.
Yeah, and once M12 is on Magic Online, this deck will get refined, and it'll be exciting. Or even in the next Open Series, one in Seattle next week, it'll be interesting to see how this gets refined as it gets closer to U.S. Nationals, Grand Prix. So there's that. At
the very least, it's just shown probably how powerful Garrick is. We haven't really seen Garrick under the lights today or yesterday, so we haven't actually visually seen it in action. But the card has we keep watching these games. We're like, oh, if he has Garrick, it does everything. Oh, if he has Garrick, it does actually everything.
Huh. Yeah, Garrick Primal Hunter is a card I expect to see a lot of on tournament tables. And I think this is just the first place we'll see it.
Yes.
So Game 3 is currently being played of the other match, which means that we won't get to go see them. So we'll have the finals for you as soon as that wraps up. Tim, with his Cobblade deck, advances to the finals. We have Cobblade in the finals. Will Cobblade still reign supreme? We're going to find out. Back in the booth, I'm Gavin Verhey here with Arielax at the Star City Games Open Series here in Cincinnati. After a day of long play and a little bit this morning, it's going to finally come down to one match to decide the title.
Yep, and it's going to be between Tim Pskowski with his Cobblade deck against either Matthew Farnay with Vampires or Caleb Durward with Pure Steel Paladin.
Who do we think Tim wants to win on the other half of the bracket?
Well, looking at his list, he doesn't actually have that much good removal for the card Pure Steel Paladin, so I actually think he wants Vampires to win. Even though, Vampires was traditionally the, I guess you could say scourge of Cobblade in some minimal senses that, people thought it could beat Cobblade before. The Paladin deck, Paladin's going to stick in this matchup. And it looks like we're actually going to get Game 3 on camera.
Yeah, I think we might get it in progress, potentially. If we're getting it in progress, we'll find out here in a second. But regardless, Game 3 is going to be coming on camera, which is great. It didn't sound like we were going to have it, but their players are kindly willing to move, so that's great.
Yeah. I think that with Mental Misstep, especially, the Vampires matchup's going to get pretty good for him. The Vampires guy doesn't have Inquisition. Matthews just has 0 Inquisitions in his main, in his sideboard. Just no ability to really take these Squadron Hawks out before they hit. He does have Arch Trail, he does have Lightning Bolt, but I can easily see Gideon Jura just being really great, even though he does have Vampire Hexblade.
Yes, the interesting thing about Matthew's deck